One of Kentucky's signature industries, and this week, in some ways, thoroughbred horse racing across the country is getting a new boss.
Tomorrow, the Horseracing Integrity and Safety Authority's first safety rules go into effect. The sport has been under intense scrutiny in recent years over on-track deaths, doping, and high-profile controversies. WKYT investigative reporter Garrett Weimer sat down with the head of the new authority to talk about the paths to progress and what comes next.
It's been a busy 4.5 months since Lisa Lazarus was called to her post.
When I took the job on February 15th, 2022, I knew there was a lot of work ahead, but also a lot of, incredible people who wanted to be involved in making this happen and making this come to life.
And they're off. As CEO of the Horseracing Integrity and Safety Authority, Lazarus has been traveling across the country.
We have gone wherever we've been asked to go. We've gone to Louisiana, we've gone to Texas, we've been here.
Working with state regulators and meeting with industry groups about 7 new federal horse racing safety rules in effect July 1st, like limiting jockeys to 6 strikes of the riding crop during a race and voiding claims for horses injured in claiming races.
Number one, I think we have an obligation to the public and to the generations where our social license to operate is sometimes questioned, to show that we are doing our best, we are listening, and at the center of everything we do is the welfare of the horse.
All racing participants, jockeys, horsemen, owners, trainers, and veterinarians are also required to register with HISA and meet certain requirements.
Madam Speaker, I rise today in strong support of the majestic and time-honored sport of thoroughbred racing.
HISA was created by Congress, the new authority to draft and enforce uniform safety and integrity rules for thoroughbred racing across the country.
I've always believed that the future prosperity of this sport depends on uniformity of the rules of racing.
The initiative has gotten a lot of support.
It's a major step forward. I think it really brings legitimacy to the sport. I think that it also creates this national standard that brings the United States up to par with the rest of the world.
It's also gotten some pushback, including 2 federal lawsuits challenging HISA's constitutionality. Both were dismissed, but are pending appeal.
Change is hard. This industry has been operating the way that it's been operating, for centuries. And horse racing is really the only sport, I'm going to call it a sport, it's also an industry, but it's also a sport that I'm aware of that doesn't have one national governing body, one national uniform set of rules. And I believe that's incredibly important to make the sport safer and fairer, but also for the public image of the sport.
Another big focus of HISA, minimum safety standards at racetracks, including increased oversight of racing services, will phase in over time. HISA's anti-doping medication and control program will go into effect in January.
It's going to take a bit of time for the kinks to be ironed out, but ultimately when the dust settles, I believe there's going to be that realization that uniform is actually a pretty cool thing,
Today, Lazarus says she feels the responsibility of her role.
This has to work. HISA cannot fail. This is horse racing's moment in time. And, all of us at HISA, we have an incredible board, a great team of people. We are going to kill ourselves to make sure that it is a success and that we don't lose this moment in time, and that we don't use it to the best of our ability, because that's incredibly important for horse racing.
And while HISA might be on the home stretch of its first race, Lazarus also knows in the long term, they're really just at the starting gate. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
And HISA is overseen by the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC. Tomorrow, HISA will also submit to the FTC its final proposed rules for the anti-doping and medication and control program. Once the FTC finalizes those rules, they will stay in effect and start going into effect on January 1st.